Why surviving isn't enough and why that should terrify us, I want to talk to you today about a woman named Christina Walker, a woman whose life has shattered every comfortable belief I ever held about strength, resilience, and what it actually means to be whole. Christina is someone who survived abuse. She survived incarceration. She survived homelessness. She survived a system designed to break her. And when I sat down with her, I expected to hear a story about survival. I expected to hear about grit and hustle and pushing through. But what Christina taught me was something far more disruptive, far more uncomfortable, and far more necessary. She taught me that survival is not the same as healing, and that looking strong on the outside can hide decades of trauma, injustice, and silent suffering on the inside. Christina Walker is making the world a better place, not because she survived, but because she refused to let survival be the end of her story. She chose faith when the world gave her every reason to lose it. She chose motherhood as an anchor when everything around her was chaos. She chose to rebuild, not from a place of hustle, but from a place of healing. And her life stands as a living testament to a truth we desperately need to hear that your worst chapters do not have to define your entire life. But here's what we do not talk about enough. We live in a world that worships survival. We celebrate the woman who keeps going no matter what. We applaud her for showing up, for holding it together, for never breaking down. We call her strong. We call her a warrior. We call her resilient. And she is all of those things. But here's the part that should terrify us. We have made survival the goal. We have made endurance the standard. We have made it so that simply not falling apart is considered success. And in doing so, we have created a culture where women, especially Black women, are expected to carry unimaginable weight and never ask for help. We have normalized trauma. We have normalized exhaustion. We have normalized the idea that if you are still standing, you must be fine. Christina taught me that you can survive and still be broken. You can keep moving and still be bleeding. You can look like you have it all together on the outside and be completely shattered on the inside. Survival is not healing. Survival is just not dying. Let me tell you where Christina's story began. It began in a place too many women know: abuse, a relationship that should have been safe but became a war zone. She endured violence, manipulation, control. She endured what no human being should ever have to endure. And when she finally escaped, when she finally got out, the world did not meet her with open arms. The world did not say, "We see you, we believe you, we will help you heal." Instead, she was incarcerated. She was locked away in a system that punished her for surviving, a system that saw her trauma and called it a crime, a system that took a woman who had already been broken and broke her again. And when she was finally released, she did not walk into freedom. She walked into homelessness. She walked into a world that had no place for her, no support, no safety, no compassion. She was free in name only, but she was not whole. And yet Christina held on. She held on to two things that became her lifeline: faith and motherhood. These were not abstract ideas for her, these were anchors. These were the reasons she kept breathing when everything in her life told her to stop. Her children needed her. Her faith whispered to her that she was more than her worst moments. And slowly, painfully, she began to rebuild. But here's where her story becomes a mirror for all of us. Rebuilding is not the same as healing. And this is the lie we have been sold. We think that if we just keep working, if we just keep hustling, if we just keep surviving, we will eventually be okay. We think that time heals all wounds. We think that if we just push through, if we just stay strong, everything will work itself out. But Christina's journey taught me something radically different. Healing has to come before rebuilding. Trauma, abuse, incarceration, loss, these things leave wounds that do not close on their own. And if we try to build a life on top of unhealed trauma, that life will eventually collapse. Sustainable growth does not start with pressure to move on. It starts with safety. It starts with stabilization. It starts with emotional healing. Think about how many of us have been told to just get over it. How many of us have been told to be strong, to stop dwelling, to focus on the future. How many of us have internalized that message so deeply that we have never given ourselves permission to actually feel our pain, to sit with it, to tend to it, to heal it? We have been taught that healing is a luxury, that it is something we do after we have handled everything else, that it is selfish, that it is weak. But Christina's story proves that healing is not a luxury, it is a necessity, it is the foundation. Without it, everything we build will crumble. And this is not just Christina's story. This is the story of countless women who have been forced to survive systems that were never designed to support them. Let me tell you about Genesis. Genesis is a Black woman who faced her own trauma and made a decision that changed everything. She did not just survive her pain, she transformed it. She turned her lived experience into a mission. She created the Divas Who Win Freedom Center, a space dedicated to educating and supporting other women and girls who were walking the same painful road she once walked. Genesis launched a podcast. She mentored 16 Black girls between the ages of 10 and 18. She became a youth coordinator. She started an initiative called Survivor's Crown. And she did not stop there. She used her voice, her story, her pain to help pass a bill in Georgia that supports survivor compensation. She took her trauma and turned it into policy. She took her wounds and turned them into a movement. But here's the key: Genesis could not have done any of that if she had not first healed. She could not have led others if she had not first tended to her own pain. She could not have turned her story into purpose if she had not first given herself permission to stop surviving and start healing. This is what we miss when we glorify survival without honoring healing. We miss the fact that the most powerful thing a person can do is not to keep going despite their pain, but to stop, to feel it, to heal it, and then to turn it into something that helps others. Now, let me tell you about Tamisha Shelton. Tamisha is an African American woman who spent 11 years in prison for a murder conviction. 11 years. But here's the part that should make your blood boil. Evidence that could have changed the outcome of her trial was never presented to the jury. She was convicted. She was locked away. She lost 11 years of her life to a system that failed her at every level. Eventually, her case was challenged. A court ordered a new trial and she was released. But those 11 years, she will never get them back. Her story is not just about one woman, it is about the vulnerability of Black women in a criminal justice system that was built on their backs and designed to keep them down. It is about the long term damage caused by wrongful conviction, by systemic racism, by a culture that refuses to see Black women as fully human. Tamishia's release became a public example of what happens when we finally hold the system accountable. But it also highlights how rare that accountability is. Her story, like Christina's, is a reminder that the systems we are told to trust often fail the people who need them most. And when those systems fail, the burden falls on the individual to survive, to endure, to keep going. But survival is not justice. Survival is not healing. Survival is just the beginning. And this brings me to the second truth Christina taught me. Your past does not cancel your purpose. Christina's story is proof that motherhood, faith, and determination can become powerful turning points even after the hardest chapters, even after abuse, even after prison, even after homelessness. She did not let the labels the world gave her, incarcerated, homeless, broken, become her identity. She chose to see herself differently. She chose to believe that she was more than what had happened to her. And that belief became the foundation for everything that came next. But she could not have done it alone. And this is the third truth: support and structure matter. reentry programs, housing, mentorship, trusted community support. These things can make the difference between survival and lasting transformation, especially for women rebuilding after trauma and incarceration. There is a report from the Council on Criminal Justice that describes rehabilitation for women in prison as a process centered on safety, stability, healing, relationships, and reentry preparation. It acknowledges that women in prison often face trauma, mental health struggles, unstable relationships, and massive barriers to successful reentry. The report emphasizes the need for behavioral health programs, wellness support, emotional regulation training, family connection in prison environments that actually support dignity and safety. This approach is not about compliance. It is not about making sure women follow the rules. It is about recognizing that compliance alone will never lead to transformation. Women need trauma informed support to rebuild their lives. They need to be seen as whole human beings worthy of healing, not just as case numbers or statistics. This broader approach helps women return home better prepared to stay in the community, to avoid future harm, to actually thrive. Christina's story is living proof of this. She did not just need a roof over her head. She needed a community that believed in her. She did not just need a job. She needed people who saw her potential and not just her past. She did not just need to survive. She needed to heal. And when she found the support and structure that honored her humanity, that is when everything changed. So, what does this mean for the rest of us? What does this mean for the woman listening right now who has been taught to just keep going, to just be strong, to just survive? It means you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to say that survival is not enough. It means your past does not cancel your purpose. It means the worst thing that ever happened to you does not have to be the defining thing. It means you deserve support, structure, and a community that sees you not just as a survivor, but as a whole person worthy of love, rest, healing, and transformation. Christina Walker is making the world a better place by living her truth, by refusing to let her story end in survival, and by showing other women that healing is possible, that purpose is possible, that softness is possible, even after the hardest, most brutal chapters. So here's my challenge to you: stop glorifying your own survival. Stop wearing your exhaustion like a badge of honor. Stop letting the world convince you that being strong means never breaking down. Because the truth is, the strongest thing you can do is admit that you are not okay. The bravest thing you can do is ask for help. The most revolutionary thing you can do is choose to heal. What part of your story have you been taught to hide that could become the very testimony that helps someone else heal, survive, or keep going? What wound are you still carrying that you have been told to just get over? What chapter of your life have you been taught to be ashamed of that could actually be the very thing that sets someone else free? Your story matters. Your healing matters. Your softness matters. The world does not need you to just survive. The world needs you whole. So stop surviving, start healing. And then when you are ready, turn that healing into the most powerful purpose you have ever known, because that is how we change the world.